constitutional home education is privately funded, parent-led, parent-funded, so parent-instituted. It's the parent's full responsibility. And just like our Constitution of America says that God gave us those rights, the government didn't give them to us. And so that's a fundamental principle that we always focus on, is that God gave you these children. God gave you the right and the responsibility to raise them according to the nurture and admiration of your convictions, which we believe are from the Lord.
Then there's another problem that we've had for several years, and that is this tax credit that homeschoolers are being given now by the state for homeschooling. So what about that?
Yeah. Take it, right, Jenny? That's only if they take it.
Correct. Yes.
And that's blurring the lines between within the Constitution, the publicly educated, the government provided education, and then those educated by other means. Now that you have the government wanting to provide funds to homeschoolers, or now I think they're being lumped into that government provided education. A couple of years ago, when we talked to the legislators about this bill, well, first it was presented to us that it would never pass, and then it did pass, and then after it passed, they said, don't worry about it, you don't have to take it. And my comment has always been that, it doesn't take but one or two to abuse this system to reflect all of us. And I've heard estimates of 5% to 10% of Oklahoma children are homeschooled, and 700,000 children are enrolled in public education. So we could have 35 to 70,000 children educated at home. And if one of them goes and buys a 65-inch screen TV and says that's an educated purpose, now and it is in the bill, the state statute talks about the $1,000 per child is allowed, and then that's paragraph C2 of the state statute, and then paragraph I2 is where the Oklahoma Tax Commission has authority to audit those families based on the receipts they turn in. So you can imagine if somebody's abusing that money, that's going to be the data that we're all represented against. That's going to be the data the government needs to come in and say all these homeschoolers are out of control buying TVs and
tax credits used to be relatively safe, but this particular one in Oklahoma is also a voucher. They took the exact same language from the previous year that was on the tail end. We've collected your money, now we're going to redisperse it and give you a rebate, basically a voucher. They knew that Republicans agreed with us on that. They didn't like it. Then they take the same language and put it into a tax credit, because in the past we had talked about tax credits being more state. But the problem with this one, especially with the private school being tagged with it, so it had the private school students get up to $7,500, but that check goes to the school with the parents signing it. So it's really not the parents, it's the parents, if they have a contract with a school, that they can forward the voucher to. Then they get the tax credit. Something we had proposed, across the board educational parental education expense credit, which would go to all families if they had a child school age. Didn't matter where they schooled, how they schooled, as long as they had a child that age group. And that way it wouldn't have singled out homeschoolers get this, private schoolers get this, public schoolers are already covered.